You don't know the story of the 54th Massachusetts Infantry Regiment? Bullshit! Sit down, get comfortable, because I'm about to tell you the story of the all-black 54th Massachusetts Infantry Regiment. See, you might be wondering why I have Abraham Lincoln here, but this plays a key part into how the 54th was even formed. Because Abraham Lincoln signed what we know today as the Emancipation Proclamation, which freed the slaves. You may have been taught that Abraham Lincoln signed this because he genuinely felt that slaves should be freed. Bullshit, because the Civil War began in 1861, and when there's a war, you need bodies. And what other better way to find bodies than to free the slaves and give them an opportunity to fight in the war? See, many African Americans served in the Army and the Navy in the early years of this country, but only few remained by the time of the Civil War. Early recruitment for the 54th began in February of 1863. As you can see from a flyer from back then, they were offering pay of $13 a month, good food and clothing, and state aid to families. Prominent abolitionists, which was a political movement to end slavery, were very active in the recruiting efforts. One of those people you may know is Frederick Douglass, whose two sons were among the first to enlist. John Andrew, a lawyer and politician in Massachusetts who had long pressured the U.S. Department of War to begin recruiting African Americans, placed a high priority on the formation of the 54th Massachusetts. John Andrew would go on to appoint Robert Shaw, an officer of the Union Army during the Civil War, son of a Boston abolitionist, to command the regiment as a colonel. The free black community in Boston was very instrumental in these recruiting efforts because they were able to utilize networks that reached beyond Massachusetts, even into the southern states, recruiting soldiers to fill out the ranks. After they departed from Massachusetts on May 28, 1863, the 54th became part of the X-Corps and was commanded by Major General David Hunter. The regiment's first engagement took place in the Battle of Grimbal's Landing on James Island, just outside of Charleston, South Carolina, July 16, 1863. See, the Union attack on James Island was only intended to draw the Confederate troops away from Fort Wagner, hoping they would be anticipating an upcoming assault on the fort. During the Battle of Grimbal's Landing, the 54th stopped an advancement of Confederate troops, but they took 45 casualties in the process. The regiment gained widespread acclaim on July 18, 1863, when they spearheaded an assault on Fort Wagner, which was a key position overlooking the water approach to the Charleston Harbor. The 54th had only recently returned from James Island, which they faced a difficult withdrawal, now going 2 days without food. They returned to the Union force on the late afternoon of July 18th, and the hungry and tired men were immediately placed in the vanguard of the assault force of 4,000 men. At 7:45 p.m., an assault was launched along a narrow spit of land. Of the 600 men of the 54th Massachusetts, 270 were either killed, wounded, or captured during this engagement. Colonel Shaw was eventually killed with 29 of his men, while 24 died later from their wounds. 15 were captured, 52 were missing in action and never accounted for, and 149 wounded. These casualties represented the highest of the regiment during any single engagement, while also 2 company commanders were also killed during this attack. Even though they didn't hold the fort, the 54th Massachusetts was widely acclaimed for its valor during the battle, and that event led to more mobilization and recruitment of African Americans into the military, which Abraham Lincoln himself noted helped secure the final victory. Decades later, Sergeant William Harvey Carney would be awarded the Medal of Honor for grabbing the U.S. flag when the U.S. flag bearer fell, running to enemy ramparts and back, saying, "Boys, the old flag never touched the ground," which would be turned into a song in his honor in 1900. Though other African Americans in the 54th received the Medal of Honor prior to Carney receiving it, but he was the one to receive the Medal of Honor for the earliest actions for it. After the Battle of Fort Wagner, many officers had died, so this left a lot of vacancies in leadership. Instead of promoting black soldiers to these open roles, inexperienced white soldiers were brought from other regiments to lead the 54th. Many whom lacked the anti-slavery convictions as the previous white officers. After the Union was defeated in the Battle of Olustee, the 54th rearguarded their retreat back to Jacksonville, Florida. This defeat in Olustee and the Union's retreat after the battle was not without consequences. 203 deaths, 1,152 wounded, with 506 missing in action, with a total of 1,861 total casualties for the Union. 87 of those casualties were from the 54th, with 3 officers, 84 men either killed, wounded, or missing in action. There was a lot of discrepancies with news reports going on about the war, but you can look that up for yourself because I don't feel like that has anything to do with the 54th Massachusetts. But later in the Florida campaign, under an all-black brigade under Colonel Hartwell, the 54th would unsuccessfully attack an entrenched Confederate militia in the November 1864 Battle of Honey Hill. In mid-April of 1865, they fought in the Battle of Boykins Mill, a small affair in South Carolina, which proved to be the last engagements of the war. The 54th would go on to gain even more recognition after the Academy Award-winning film Glory, starring actors like Denzel Washington and Morgan Freeman. Now you know the story of the 54th Massachusetts All-Black Infantry Regiment. Hit that follow button and stay tuned for more videos like this. As long as we train.